again. I'm Kay Byfield at ArtSpeaks Studio in Dallas, Texas, and this is your ArtSpeaks Studio moment. I work with artists at all levels of experience, and one of the questions I get a lot is, how do you start a painting? So today, that's what we're going to talk about. There are a number of ways to get paint on the paper in the beginning. You can do a direct painting, which is just start with white paper, paint your lightest and your largest shapes first, and bring the whole painting up together. Another approach is to do an underpainting. One of the ways that you can do an underpainting is to do something that will establish your relationships right off the front so that you create a sense of unity. Or you can do an underpainting that adds some unpredictability and a little bit of interest that you then bring together later in the painting process. You decide which approach to take by considering what your subject matter is and what your goals are for the painting. So today, the subject I'm going to use is this reference photo of a young woman leaning against a bridge. My goal with this painting is to capture the light on the figure. I'm going to remove the sunglasses because I don't think they're goggles or whatever they are. I don't think they're adding anything to the particular image. And my goal will be to have the warm skin tones and sweater contrasting against the cools behind her. And the focal point will be in the face and in the hand, with the highest level of contrast in color and value at the focal point. Before I start this, I did a value study, and the value study gives me a sense of my lights and my darks so that I can know ahead of time where my contrast is going to be. And I only have to think about the quality of the paint and the color choices because I've already figured out the relative lights and darks. My highest contrast is going to be in the face, and the secondary focal point will be in the hand. So once I've done the value study, now I do what I call a master drawing, and I scaled the image up so that it fits on a quarter sheet, and I can use this master drawing to trace it to create the drawing on the watercolor paper that I can use to paint. So the first approach we talked about was the direct underpainting, which means you paint the shapes relative to what you've decided you're going to try to do. So I'm just establishing the lights and the largest shapes. And I haven't gone very far with this, but it gives you a good idea. So I've got warm against cool. I've added some color changes and a little bit of variety in the face and the ears and the hands. This hand is going to be much less contrast against the background than this hand is. This is going to be the secondary focal point as we established in our value study. And so I've just beginning with the paint application, and I'm establishing some of the lights, and I'm letting the paint quality work. So that's a direct painting. The problem with doing a direct painting is that you are painting shape by shape, and that can create a discontinuity in the finished painting because the parts won't relate to each other. So to solve this problem, it's often useful to go ahead and do an underpainting. This is a painting where I covered the whole surface with a yellow underpainting. And that was to make everything to relate to each other right off the front. But it means that my blue sky is more yellow, everything is warm. It's going to be a warm painting, but it creates an immediate relationship. And you could see how the paint going on in the next layer all still goes together, and you don't have to fight things being disjointed or disconnected. Another kind of underpainting that can be useful is to leave your whites in the places where you want the brightest colors and then paint away from them in kind of a graded meaning moving away, getting darker and duller as it goes away, wash, so that the subject matter where the greatest contrast in light and dark and bright and dull is can be in the focal point. This is a graded underpainting. In this case, I'm using a neutral, and it's darker as it gets further out. As you put successive layers of paint on this, your colors will be more brighter in the areas that are left white. This is a smaller version that I did just to kind of give you an idea of if you wanted to really complicate your painting process and create a lot of interest right off the front. One of the things you could do would be some kind of an underpainting that actually doesn't relate that closely to your subject matter. And artists will often do that just to create a little bit of tension that they have to resolve in the painting. It increases the likelihood that the painting is not going to relate, but if it works, it makes a much more interesting and less predictable painting. If you want a painting that is harmonious and that everything relates to everything else, you may choose to do an underpainting that is all one color, and those relationships will be established from the get-go. If you want to have more interest, you want to engage yourself in the painting process and do something a little bit riskier, you might do an underpainting that is less predictable. Keep in mind that the goal for most artists is to efficiently and quickly get the painting done so that all the parts relate to one another, and yet there is still something surprising in the payoff at the end. Thank you for watching, and please check out our other ArtSpeaks studio moments. I hope this was helpful. Goodbye.